Hi everyone, it's me Steve. It is January 12th, 2019. Time's about 9:30 in the morning. It's Saturday. Somebody actually asked me to do this, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to show some of my books, but I'm not just going to show and tell books. I'm going to explain in detail the formatting, and I'm going to go into somebody who actually gave useful feedback on something. What you're going to see here, I pulled one of my roadside books because I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about why I pulled it. It will be back in a way. But the other ones that you're seeing here, they're all still for sale, okay, on Amazon, and they're not that much. So these are all good, and there's one that just came out. I don't have a author's copy of it, and there's another one I'm going to release next week, which I also don't have an author's copy of because I still have to proof it. But I'm going to show you some of these and explain some things to you. First, I'm going to go over the Ontario ones I've done so far. There are 3 out right now. There's a 4th that's going to be done next week. I'm going to show a little bit of the inside of that one. Like I said before, all my roadside books are 8.5 by 11, and they're full color. All right, this was the second one. I do have the first one right here. It's still available. This is the thickest one. This one has 107 pages in it. This one was the thinnest one until the one that I'm going to release next week. But see, you can see the cover. I change them a little bit time to time. What I do is I start in the first part is where you get relevant geologic information in the books, and they do repeat a little bit, but you know, if you only want one, it's no big deal, and there's not that many pages of them. Most of them have, you know, actual, like this is unique to this book. So some things are strictly unique. Definitions will change where relevant. The maps will change where relevant. And obviously all the stops are always different. Like this one, I have both plutonic and volcanic rock classifications in this one. And the next two, I don't have volcanic, I just have plutonic. So, you know, things change. And I also added something in the new one. This is the one that's going to be coming out. This is what the cover looks like, and the one that'll be released next week. This is a low-res color image, so it'll look more quality like this. But the only thing I printed out on the inside was this, because this covers, and the one that'll be released next week covers the 4 books that were already done right here. Each color represents a book. This book is the green track right here. For sure, I will end up doing a Sudbury one, and there may end up being 1 or 2 more Canada ones after that, but I don't know, because I got to move back to the States. I got to get Wisconsin done and some other things. But anyway, I want to show you what the inside of these books look, you know, roadside parts, the stop parts. Okay, so when you actually get to the parts with the stops, I do change the format from book to book slightly. Not very much until this recent one. I decided to do some things. Okay, this is why these books do not format to Kindle. Okay, on this side here is the basic information, stuff about the rocks, and there will either be figures here or pictures here. There's always pictures on this side of the outcrop. Always on this side, on this side here. All right, and depending on the stop and what's to be seen, there may be more details or less details. This one has a geologic map here, significant things about the outcrops. And the beauty of doing it this way, and this one has a geologic map, but the beauty of this is when you open it and you go to a stop, it's all right here in front of you on 2 pages. You don't have to fumble back and forth. You don't have to go, oh yeah, I got to go back from here and stuff like that. That's why I like doing it this way. And if you see here, you see I give GPS coordinates. And although, like in this one, there was a basic map showing the sites where they are, you can't rely on this map to find the outcrops. There are so many outcrops here, I have to be selective so this thing doesn't end up being 1,000 pages. Okay, I can't stop at every outcrop. So I have to be selective. But the GPS is in there because all you have to do, if you have a smartphone like what I'm doing here, is you go to Google Chrome or iMaps, whatever it is, you type in these numbers exactly as they are printed here. Your just like this. This is decimal format. You have to remember the second number needs a minus. You don't have to separate them by a comma or anything. You just type them in directly like this. This is your latitude. This is your longitude. And since we're in the Midwest and North America, this is always going to be a positive number because we are in the Northern Hemisphere. And this is always going to be a negative number because we are in the Western Hemisphere. You just type that directly in and it'll drop you right there. As a matter of fact, what I actually decided to do was I actually took 2 pictures of my iPhone doing this myself. Now, this is just a proof, so it's not in color, but the actual book will be in color. This is the one that's going to be out next week. And the one that's already out, but I don't own a proof for, this one also has it. So this one is available right now. Okay? So hope that clears up that thing, because I don't know how to explain it anymore. And adding more maps to these things makes these more expensive because they're in full color. You need to understand that. I'm trying to make these affordable for people while presenting the necessary geologic information. Plus, using this decimal format, you can start anywhere in the book. Like if you're closer to this outcrop, you can stop right here. And then if you want, you can go backwards. You don't have to go forwards. Okay, so here it is. This is the one I have pulled. You can no longer get this one. And this is the thickest one. This one has, the last numbered page is 170. This one, the last numbered page is 70. And most of these Canada ones are around 70. They're between 65 to 70 pages, somewhere in there. So they're not that expensive. 12 bucks, I think, something like that, 13, if that. But this one is 2.5 times, a little less, 2.5 times thicker than this one is. This book was ridiculously expensive. Now, how did this book even come about? I actually had a contract with Mountain Press to do this back in 2011, I think it was. Well, they kept wanting to change it. They kept wanting to cut things, because they do full color ones of these now. And I wasn't a fan of the format. The format was very restrictive. It's very the old way of doing it. All right. So once the contract expired, I'm like, screw it. I want the book out. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. However, that screwed with the format. I kept the formatting. The format isn't like it is in all the other roadside books I've done. All right. You see, when you get to stops, they're like this. All right. You don't see all the information on one side with GPS and everything on this side. All right. You don't see that in the Illinois book. The Illinois book is structured differently. I'm going to change that. All right. In the beginning of the book, there's a lot of information about the geomorphology and the geology of the state of Illinois and how the book is organized. There's some basic stuff here. You get the basic information about the state, and a person went and did a lot of this in GIS for me. She was very helpful, as Teresa. You get stuff like this, okay, telling you the divisions, some little things about the geology throughout the state, and then you get into the stuff like this for the glaciers, and then you get into the this is actually from pyrite and calcite from my personal collection, or galena and pyrite. Sorry, my bad. Galena and calcite from my personal collection here, from Illinois. So you do get some good mineralogy in Illinois, but this book does cover the Paleozoic geology and the Quaternary because that's all that's exposed on the surface in Illinois. As where most of my Canada books are pre-Cambrian geology books, which is actually my specialty. But anyway, so it's organized a little different. It's ridiculously thick. It's ridiculously expensive. I think this was close to 30 bucks. And here's the map in the back. What I'm thinking about doing, and this just to tell you where all the sites are. And this is what kind of got me in it. This map was not meant to show you all the locations in detail and how to get there. And the reason why is because it would have made this book added another 37 to 40 pages in this already ridiculously thick and expensive book. All right. And it does have GPS coordinates in it, just like the other ones. It's just not organized in the same way. So that was what somebody complained about. You need more No, I don't need more directions. This book is ridiculously thick as it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it into at least 3. okay? I am going to do a basic geology part about Illinois, so you can get that one, and then you can get one or both of the others if you want. I'm going to do a Northern Illinois part. I'm probably going to cut it off right about here, Northern Illinois, and then Southern Illinois. There's not a lot in here. It's basically just glacial till plain. There's nothing really interesting to see. There's a couple places, but yeah, this green area, Central Illinois, is anyone who's been on I-55, I-57 knows it's very flat and it's very featureless. So that's a consequence of the geology. Sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm going to add stuff to this too, because if I do that, then I can add more information that I couldn't add before, that I had to trim before. So they'll probably end up being around the same price that these are, and probably around the same number of pages a piece. And I love making these things. I love driving around Canada, Illinois, Wisconsin, the UP, Minnesota. There will be a Minnesota one eventually too. And just sharing what I know, what I have learned with everyone else so they can enjoy it too. That's why I do this. And yeah, I get a little money for it. Not as much as I used to, since Amazon bought CreateSpace and then merged just last year CreateSpace with Kindle. We're all getting screwed. But I mean, this is why. See, now you understand why this doesn't work for Kindle. All right. I mean, this format is not Kindle friendly. And as I've said before, the last thing you want to do is take a electronic device in the field that is not made for field use out there just to see something like this, because these are a lot cheaper to replace than a Kindle or an iPad or whatever it is. Oh, wait, before, the one thing I wanted to tell you about, and I almost forgot, the one change I made from the books that someone actually gave a constructive, useful criticism about. Sorry. Associated structures in here. I have them in all the geology books except the one, I think it's in the one that's already out. Yes, the one that's coming out next week. Associated geologic structures will be gone. This is the one coming out next week. Okay. And the guy actually brought up a good point. He's like, well, when you describe in your books, you know, when you go in there and you talk about the structures in detail in this part. And I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, and then you put them in the pictures. I'm like, yeah. So he's like, do you really need to put them here? And if I have a map, they'll be in the map too. And I thought about it, like, you know what? He's right, because I talk about him, and not to mention, if I take that out, which I did, it gives me more room to write more stuff for you guys. So I can add more lines if I got rid of the associated structures. Now the geologic unit, that's relevant, because I may not go into any more detail and mention it again if it's a formalized unit and if it's all one formation. It'll just be there. Okay, and then the main rock types, yeah, I'm going to talk about them in the text, but it's important to know what you're looking, so you can be like, I don't want to stop at that one. I'm not really into myelotic and gneissic granodiorite to granite migmatite. I want to see quartz gabbro or quartz monzo gabbro or greenstone. That's what I want to see. So you can kind of, see what you want to see. But the structures, it wasn't necessary. And I give props to that dude for telling me about it, because that was really useful. And so that's not going to appear in any more future books. And it also won't appear in the redone version of Illinois. But anyway, that is it for sure. I've made this video way too long. But anyway, if you like, go ahead. If you have any comments, suggestions, go ahead, leave them. And if you want to buy any of those books, go ahead, no pressure. But anyway, that's it. And I hope you learned something and got something out of this. So if you decide to self-publish something like this, you can learn from the mistakes that I've made, or, whatever. Anyway, that's it. Hope you learned something. Have a good day.